Oh, the streets are cold and gray, but the fire in our hearts won't stray from the pitch where dreams collide. We'll stand together side by side. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in, when the Spurs go marching in, I wanna be there in that number. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in, from the north to Wembley's light, under stars we own the night, with every cheer and every song. We've been here all along. No one can take this from our soul. We're a part of something whole. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in, when the Spurs go marching in, I wanna be there in that number. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in, we've seen the glory, we felt the pain, through the sunshine, through the rain. Every step is ours to claim. We'll rise again. We'll play the game. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in, when the Spurs go marching in, I wanna be there in that number. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in.
Good evening. It is no longer a therapy session, what we was expecting tonight. It is a half reasonable show, I would say. So welcome to Project Spurs after Spurs drew 2-2 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with Manchester City. So without further ado, let me bring in my esteemed panel as always. So first and foremost, Joseph, thanks for joining us as always, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. For once, obviously after that first half, I can't say I was really, really struggling. But after that second half, I'm feeling a lot better and really happy with with the second half performance and the result. I think it's an important point for Spurs. Where with the position we are in the table, I think right now we just need to try and get as many points as we can. So, yeah, feeling a bit better than usual. For once. So yeah, looking forward to talking about the game.
Lovely stuff, mate. And Phil, obviously you have been up and down all over the place this week. You have flown back. You have been cooking God knows how much dodgy breakfast, but then also been a happy man, I would say, today compared to the on the fence all over the place. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm really good now. I mean, I did actually predict a 2-2, right, in the last pod, right? And at half time, I was obviously kind of gave up on that. But look, I'm really happy. I mean, at the end of the day, we'll go into more detail around the game and the result. But that second half performance showed that there is fight in the players. It showed that the players, in whatever shape or form, still believe in the manager. There was energy there in that second half. And same as Joseph said, I just wish that we could, kind of also play more consistently, right? Like if we could ever just put in a 90-minute performance from start to end, probably with some little down periods of it as well, right? I don't think we expect to play the whole 90 minutes like good, but even if we could just play 80 minutes or 75 minutes like that, you know, and then, you know, have these little bits where it doesn't work, then that would just be better. But yeah, I'm good. I was expecting this to be a you know, kind of a resigned, depressing kind of pod, but actually really feeling good right now. So yeah, let's do this.
No, exactly, mate. It's one of the only ones I haven't ended up doing therapy sessions. Gary always seems to get the grief of the game. I get the therapy sessions online. So that brings me in nicely to someone who actually has a smile on his face for once. Si, have you finally put some money in your meter, mate? You got your Wi-Fi working. How's it going?
Yeah, good, mate. Good, Carl. Thank you. Always a pleasure to come on with you three and Gary as well. But I know he's at the game. Well, once again, a game of two halves with Tottenham, isn't it? And at least we perform better in the second half, and you know, we come away from that game positive for once. But like the other lad said, I just wish we could do it for more than 45 minutes. It's just unbelievable when you see the difference between the two halves. But yeah, we've got a lot to talk about and looking forward to it.
No, of course, and we'll obviously have live updates from the post-match press conference tonight. We're also getting a little bit of information out as well. Paul O'Keefe has said that there was a number of players that were ill in the squad today. So QT Romero, that's why he went off at half time with illness. Also, Odebear had a sickness bug yesterday. That's why he didn't start today as well. Matthias Tell, I think it's just because we know where he stands in Thomas Frank's eyes, so we won't speculate on that one. But realistically, I mean, in the lead up to the game, we obviously lost a number of other players. Mickey van der Ven was hit and miss in the lead up. Kevin Danso has now broken a ligament in his foot, which will, if it could be a short-term one that he can play with a plaster cast on his hand and kick everyone up in the air with, but most likely we've got another knock that will be an 8-month injury spell. We also have had people come and go with that. But so if I can come to you, Phil, in the lead up to the game, we obviously had a lineup of Guglielmo Vicario, João Palhinha, Christian Romero, and Dragusin for his first start of the season in the back three, with Archie Gray, Conor Gallagher, Basuma, and Destiny Udogie playing in a flat four in the middle, with Gray and Udogie as wing backs, with Kolo Muani, Xavi Simons playing as 10s, and Dom Solanke playing as our out-and-out 9, with then a bench to follow that of Matthias Tell, Wilson Odebear, obviously with sickness, Pape Sarr on the bench, Antonin Kinski, Souza making the bench for the first time since his move in January, Callum Olasesi, who was missing from the under-21 squad on Saturday night, which me and Gary went and saw. Just to plug that, Project Spurs was at a Spurs game, which is great, with Rio Kyromaitan, Janil Byfield, and James Roswell, who did play on Friday night. What was your thoughts in the lead up to that when pretty much half of our bench were under 21s?
Yeah, well, I did see that tweet yesterday that, you know, where someone said that we had those additional injuries today, and I dismissed it as someone was posting rubbish online, but I think it became clear after that there was some truth to it. But yeah, look, I mean, we're down to literally the bare bones, aren't we? You know, in terms of the squad. You know, luckily we've got someone like Solanke back, actually, having been out for 6 months. But, you know, we're literally down to the bare bones. And I think in terms of the starting lineup, when I saw the players that were available on the bench, admittedly with Odebert probably not 100% fit, I was okay with the starting lineup. I was predicting more that Sarr would start instead of Basuma, to be honest. I was a bit surprised to see Basuma start, but then he played all right when he last played in the league game. So the moment, it's okay, right? I don't think I can say much against that, just because we got to pick whoever's kind of fit, really, at the moment. I did think Tell might start instead of Moani, but again, bearing in mind that he played the same system as he played in Europe, right? Pretty much, although he did play a bit more defensively maybe in that first half, but that could also just be us not playing very well at all and City pinning us back, right? I'm not sure that actually the commentators were saying that we started the game kind of playing a 5-2-3 whatever, or 5-3-1 whatever kind of thing, right? Very defensive, but I actually think that was just Man City pinning us back, and we just couldn't get set in the game. So Moani to start the game, I was okay with it because he did score in Europe in the week, and he actually looked all right overall against Frankfurt. And again, we need players who are fit, and I thought Tell would come on for half an hour today, so I was fine with it. And I think all the other people that started the game was pretty much as predicted. Dragusin was obviously predicted to come in. He was a worry for me because obviously he just hasn't played at all since last season, really, has he? So he's completely out of match practice. Palhinha played very well in the Champions League at centre back, Udogie obviously as well. So look, I was fine with the starting 11. I was perfectly happy with it.
No, that's fair. And Si, do you think that's quite fair what Phil's saying? Was you kind of happy with the options that we had there, bar maybe one or two?
Yeah, I mean, I agree pretty much with everything Phil said there. I expected Archie Gray to come in at right back because obviously Jed Spencer's got a knock now. Yeah. I expected that. Expected Dragusin in. Once I just expected Sarr above Bissouma. It was a surprise to see Bissouma in, but then again, Sarr has played a lot all through the AFCON tournament and everything. So, probably trying to manage his minutes as best he can with a depleted squad. But yeah, I mean, big shout out for Dom Solanke, obviously, because he just changes that team when he's up front, the way he holds the ball up. So it was, great to see him start and not on the bench after Europe. So yeah, pretty much, exactly as I thought, apart from the Sarr and Bissouma, to be fair, Cal.
No, that's fair. And Joseph, what was your thoughts on our favourite balloon friend starting for the second Premier League game in a row?
Yeah, part of me wasn't actually too surprised because actually, although Sarr didn't really actually play too much in the African Cup of Nations, he did apparently get a illness, and I think he was hospitalised for a little bit after the final with Senegal winning. So I'm not surprised that he hasn't come straight back into the team. And obviously as well, Frank did seem to kind of go off of using him towards the end before the African Cup of Nations. He wasn't really using Sarr as much. He had a really good start to the season, and everyone kind of thought, he's going to be a mainstay in the midfield. But yet he didn't really become that throughout the year. So I wasn't too surprised the lineup. Again, it's just such a shame with the amount of injuries we've got. No one, we're having to force players into positions that, Dragusin starting against Manchester City after, a massive ACL injury is not something you're wanting. João Palhinha really isn't someone you want to be playing at centre-back, although I thought, we'll go on to it, but he played really well. Archie Gray at right-back, I think he's been really good in midfield recently. Obviously, he had to move into a right-back role, especially in that second half, and it just, again, it's just we're having to force players into the team and to play in different roles when, we've got much better options currently injured. So, the injuries are such a big issue. And, maybe if Enoch went out and actually spent some money and got some players in, it might help ease that situation. But yeah, going into the game, you never know really what to expect from a Spurs team, in terms of the starting 11 because of, there's a new injury every single day, it feels like. We didn't hear anything about Odebear really and Spence and Danzo, and then it all just comes out of nowhere. They're all injured. None of them ill. None of them can play. It's just an absolute mess at the moment with the injuries. But yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't have too much expectation going into the game, especially after seeing the players available. Seeing that team, I was very worried going into it. When you see the City team and you see the players they've got on the bench, like Phil Foden not even playing is crazy. He'd probably be the first name on our team sheet every week, and he doesn't even get into their starting 11 right now. So it's wasn't feeling great at the start of the game. But again, I can't really blame anyone in terms of the playing staff or the management because what have you got available to you with all these injuries?
No, of course. And realistically, I'm the same as you guys. I thought that it's the best we could probably field, maybe. I would have had Saar for Basuma. Obviously, I know we'll discuss it later on in the show, but I think that was kind of warranted because he was about as useful as a dead duck, to be honest. Also, probably Dragusin had some questions over him because obviously he hasn't started the game in probably going on 12 months now, realistically. So let's jump straight into it. So early stages, quite quiet, backs and forwards. We've actually got a happy Ian Meth tonight, which is quite surprising, unless he's been on the weird wine again. But obviously, big up to Ian and Spurs Diehards, who we work in partnership with. So let's jump to 11 minutes, and Ryan Cherky picks up he scores a good goal, but realistically, a mistake by Basuma in the midfield. Dragusin not tracking his man, and Cherky then manages to get a deflected goal off of one of our players to put it past Vicario into the left-hand corner. So who wants to vent first? Who's got some vent-up aggression?
I'll go first. I think that first 10 minutes was so weird because the atmosphere was just non-existent. You know, we had like the trumpet at the start of the game and the fans kind of singing that. And then after that, it was just a library. I've never heard it so eerily quiet. And again, it was 0-0 at that point. Like City had the ball. We've had a bit of the ball. Nothing had really happened. It was a very just nothing game. But the fact that it was that quiet, it was just felt so weird. It's like no one cared. It's like no one was bothered. And they've all spent loads of money to go and sit in the stadium and watch the game. And it just felt like no one cared about the game. And, you know, the goal itself was very poor from a Tottenham point of view. You know, Basuma just lacking focus in that moment. Bernardo Silva was really great in that first half, I thought, for City. And he really ran about and got involved. And he nicks the ball off of Basuma, plays it to Cherky, and at that point, you know, it's kind of that one-on-one defending where you've got Cherky against Dragusin, and again, maybe it's rustiness, maybe Dragusin just isn't the best one-on-one defender, but he just doesn't deal with it, and all it takes is Cherky to shift it out of his body, plays it to his right foot, and shoots across goal, and Dragusin doesn't really stick a leg out, he doesn't really try and block it, he kind of stands there in an awkward position and doesn't really affect much of the ball. So it was poor all around, but it was just a really confusing, you know, first 15 minutes or first 45 minutes, if we're all being honest. It was a really, really confusing position to be in because, you know, you heard it. I don't know who was watching it on Sky, but, you know, it felt like a charity match. It did. Yeah, you know, Gary Neville said it. And it 100% it did. I completely got what he was saying. The atmosphere was eerily quiet. And maybe it's just a collection of everything. Maybe it's just, again, the poor performances week in, week out, the injury issues, where we are in the table, the you know, problems with the ownership and the transfers going on. I think it's a bit of everything, but you know, it just felt so strange. And I was watching it and I was just sitting there. I didn't feel anything. When City scored, I didn't feel anything. I didn't even really feel anger. I was just kind of like, what's new? This is Tottenham. This is what we've come to expect. And it feels like everybody in the stadium has also come to expect that. And so kind of expected for me. I didn't expect anything much different after that, you know, after the first 15 minutes. But just a strange atmosphere. That was the one thing, you know, even when we've been poor, the fans will always voice their displeasure and they will also always voice their support. But even in those first 10, 15 minutes, you didn't hear anything. You didn't hear fans really singing for the players. You didn't hear fans really singing against it. It was just quiet. And that was really strange.
No, that's definitely fair. And Sai, do you echo that sloppy goal to concede, but obviously a lack of backing from the fans at the first instance, at least going into the game?
Yeah, Cal. I mean, it was poor the way Basuma lost the ball to in his own half, and then set Haaland away. He teed it up for Cherky. And I mean, Dragusin was just backing off. And, you know, if he'd backed off anymore, he'd been off the pitch. And then Cherky just put it in the bottom corner, didn't he? But I mean, you got to look at Vicario's positioning there as well. I think it looked like Cherky had like 3/4 of the goal to choose at, that he was overcompensating for his near post. Vicario was. I thought his positioning stunk on that. But yeah, I was watching it on Skylight. I think Joe was. And yeah, I had to turn the volume up at one stage because I thought it was on mute. It was that quiet. And I mean, when they pan on the fans a few times, it looked as if some of them had been forced to go. You know, when you're forced to go somewhere, you don't really want to, and then you're just down in the dumps and fed up. That's how they looked, like as if, well, I've had to come, you know. And it's you know, it's not what we want to see. But I'm a firm believer in the team has got to give us something to shout about, to sing about. You know, closing downs from the first whistle. You know, hurrying the opponents. We'll get behind you, but they were just sitting back, no urgency, no nothing in that first half. So I don't blame the fans for not singing, not doing anything, because the players weren't giving us anything to sing about, to be honest.
No, of course. And Phil, obviously, that first half, like Si was saying, it was very devoid. It was very lackluster. We were sitting back. We couldn't string simple passes together. And when we did get forward, it would be we'd run into a blind corner and then recycle it and put it back to the defence, which seems to be quite a carbon copy of what we've seen in probably the last 3 months, I would say. It seems to be if you can't make it, put it back to defence and Vicario kick it out for a throw-in. Would you sort of feel that's how it was from your view?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought there was nothing in that first half, right? There was no build-up play. There was no kind of plan or structure on the field from what I could see, really. You know, there was no space again for us. You know, the last couple of games, ever since Frank switched to this kind of 3 at the back, 3-4-2, you know, 3-4-2-1, whatever kind of system, we looked more fluid. You know, we had more space on the pitch and stuff, but we couldn't get any space in that first half. We weren't dangerous at all. Couldn't keep the ball. We kept losing the ball. Basuma was awful, I thought, in the first half. He didn't do anything right. Obviously, he gave the ball away, but like he just didn't do anything right. His positioning was bad. Gallagher was busy, but he was anonymous in that first half. You know, like there was no plan. And, you know, Vicario's distribution whenever he got the ball was just as poor as ever. You know, it was really weird because, you know, as the guys have said already, you know, and I'm sure anyone who was in the stadium would agree anyways, but listening on the German Sky, luckily with the English commentary as well, because the German commentary, they only support the top 4 teams. So they're always massively biased against whoever we play, right? So even my German Spurs fans in the WhatsApp group were like, we cannot listen to this German commentary anymore. Sky are awful. But yeah, anyways, it was like a morgue. I mean, it was so bad. And like it just seemed like everyone had given up. You know, obviously the protest was planned for today or happened, but there was the bits to come later on. And it just seemed at that point, it was a question of how many goals is it going to be? You know, what are the excuses going to be in the press conference? What are the ownership going to say? Deadline day tomorrow. You know, like literally everyone's given up. There's nothing positive what you can say about the first 10, 20, 30, 40 or 45 minutes out of the first half. But no. I think just the fact is that we had all those injuries anyways. And then we got the news with the new guys missing and like Dragusin having to play with Palhinha in there. You know, it just probably didn't help the mood. You know, it probably didn't help the build-up play either, right, in terms of what we're actually trying to do, because Dragusin hasn't kicked a ball for 8 months, really, right, or longer, because he didn't exactly play, you know, that well last season, right? Dragusin's only played in a pretty much played games in an unsuccessful and an underperforming Spurs team, really, you know, shipping all those goals last season. So look, I mean, it is how it is, but I don't think, probably everyone who was there and everyone watching didn't really expect, like, probably hoped that we would turn up again and come out with power and pace and energy and some kind of fluidity, but we didn't get it. And it was probably like, well, we hoped, but we're kind of, that's who we are now, you know, kind of an acceptance of mediocrity.
No, exactly. And like a bad rash that won't go away after a month, we get to 44 minutes and we think maybe just get into half time and sort of get yourself sorted. Someone who Thomas Frank broke a rule for this week to say that Spurs wanted to sign him as a sign of intent for Spurs, which really didn't help. Sometimes it's better to keep your mouth shut, as we know as adults. Antoine Semenyo steps up and scores another goal against us after getting one, ironically, in his last game for Bournemouth. It couldn't be Dr. Tottenham for you, could it? Had to be his last touch of the half. And we go into half-time at 2-0. So, Si, this just has Spurs written all over it, doesn't it, mate? We couldn't give goals away for less, could we?
Yeah, it's Tottenham to a T, isn't it, Carl? I was hoping we'd go in 1-0 down because part of me was expecting it to come out and be a different team because, I mean, we've been doing it regularly now, a game of two halves. But, I mean, we tried to clear our lines, then come straight back. And it was just such a straightforward goal to concede. Poor defending by the whole team. It was just diabolical. You could see Semenyo was going to put it away. I think Vicario got his fingertips to it, but you know he wasn't going to stop that when he's one-on-one with the keeper, basically. But it's just schoolboy errors every game. We just give ourselves a mountain to climb, just by stupid mistakes and poor clearances and stuff like that. And it's just, when you make mistakes in life, in whatever, you should learn from them. But this club, this team, they just make the same mistakes again and again, and they're not learning from it. So, I mean, is that down to the manager? Is it down to the players? We'll never know, but someone needs to get a grip of all of them and just, you know, shake some sense into them and get them to realise doing the same things every game, you're just going to end up with the same results, to be honest.
No, exactly. And Joseph, here's that unwritten rule. You don't talk about players that you want to sign, is it? Because they always somehow come back to haunt you. Do you think this had it all written all over it for us this time?
Well, yeah, I mean, Semenyo is a top player. Like, there's a reason we wanted him, and there's a reason we didn't get him, because he's a top player. And why would he come to Spurs when he's got other options? And we've seen that so many times, and it's kind of frustrating that we're doing this. You know, that, I mean, we're linked to, you know, we tried to get Mbeumo, he went to Manchester United. We tried to get Semenyo, he went to Manchester City. We tried to get Eze, he went to Arsenal. Obviously, the Morgan Gibbs-White one was a mess. Nico Paz, we tried to get him. He turned us down. So many players have been turning us down because they don't want to come to Tottenham because there's better opportunities for them elsewhere. And that's, you know, Thomas Frank's basically what he's come out and said is that Semenyo rejected us. That's what he was saying. He's going, we tried to get Semenyo, but he didn't want to come to Tottenham. And that is the case. And from what it was reported, apparently we were offering more money. We were offering a significant, you know, wage packet, more than other teams, and he still would rather go to Manchester City. And again, I don't see how anyone can blame him, because why would he want to come to this Tottenham team right now in the mess they're in with no real, you know, no real guidance, no real idea of where we're going to be going. And especially at half time, I'm sure all of us felt that. You know, the one thing I always say, especially going into a game against Manchester City, I know we have this weird kind of thing where we seem to do well against them. But on paper, I think everyone can accept that our team is nowhere near as good as Manchester City's team. Player for player, their ability is unbelievable. They've got some of the best technical players in the world. And Tottenham are just not up to that point, and we're not on their level right now. So all I expect is a team that fights. All I expect is a team that is willing to work as hard as they can to get anything they can from the game. And that first half, I saw none of that. And that's what is inexcusable for me. Like, it just they looked like the same way you saw the fans. None of them seemed like they truly cared. There wasn't enough working. There wasn't enough effort, especially that second goal. It was just awful. You know, Dragusin, I know, with, you know, not the best clearance, quite a lazy clearance, goes straight to a City player, but none of the Tottenham players reacts. All of them are kind of wandering around, just hoping to get to half time. And it's like, where's the energy? Where's the effort? Where's the, you know, you're at home in a big game. Like, we're getting dragged into a relegation fight and there's no energy from anyone. It's just it was so disappointing to watch and just see. And like, you know, so I said, and there's, you know, the team needs to do something for the fans to get up for the game. And unfortunately, there was nothing from the team in that first half to make anyone feel like we were going to do anything. So, you know, in that moment, and let's be honest, I think just overall, it doesn't, you know, this second half doesn't change everything about the club. Everything feels really confusing. Everything feels just like there's a haze in front of everyone. No one knows what's coming with Tottenham. And that's such a difficult spot to be in, because transfer-wise, it's been abysmal this January window. We've got no idea what's happening with the ownership and what direction they're actually wanting to go in. They say one thing, but then their actions say something different. You've got a manager that, you know, you're hearing reports that people don't back him. People do back him. Some people want him to stay. Some people don't. Some people want him to stay till the end of the year, and then we'll get a new manager. You've got players that you don't know if they're going to be at the club at the end of the year. You know, players like Van der Ven, you know, you don't see him wanting to stay around at Spurs. You've got players that you kind of want to leave and you think you might not be able to get rid of. It's just a really difficult position for Spurs to be in. But again, we've got nobody really steering the ship. We've got nobody that we trust to know they're going to drag us out of this mess. And again, you know, obviously, I think we're all feeling a bit more positive after that second half, and we'll talk about it in a second. But it doesn't change the fact that all of those things are still true. You know, all of those things that we're struggling with haven't just changed off of a good 45 minutes against Manchester City. We're still in a bad spot overall in terms of where the club's at. And you know, that first half for me epitomized that. It showed the feeling around the club, the energy around the club is just really negative. And the second half does really give me some hope. But again, you can't have that first half. As much as the second half was great, you cannot have that first half. It was just awful. And it's more than just you're 2-0 down to Manchester City. It's more than that to me. Because I can understand you're going to sometimes lose to teams that are better than you. But it's the way that you go 2-0 down. It's the performance that you're putting in. That's the problem. We can concede two. We can concede two to any team if they score two good goals. But it's the way that you play. And for me, that first half was unacceptable.
I agree with you there, Joe. I don't think Man City had to play well or play really, really well. I just think we were just not at the races that first half. Players looked like they'd conceded 2 goals before before the kickoff. To be honest, I don't think Man City played well. You can't say Man City were awesome that first half. I just think we just didn't turn up whatsoever.
But this is the thing, Si, isn't it? It's like, again, you can accept sometimes maybe the ability and the skill not being there. Maybe they're just, you know, it's not their day. They can't seem to get the ball moving the way they want to. But it's the effort, it's the energy.
Yeah,
that's where it's inexcusable. That should be the same every single game, no matter what game it is. That should always be the same. And that's what we're not seeing. And again, you know, as much as how great the second half is, it highlights such a massive issue, which is how can you be that terrible one half and that good in the second? That should never happen.
Yeah.
That it shouldn't happen. So as much as I'm really happy with the second half performance, it just highlights to me more what is going on for us to be that crap in the first half.
Joseph, like we were like that though, or we've been like that for years though as well, right? We had so many games under Ange where the first half didn't work, you know, at all, and then the second half was completely different. okay, there's always an element of tactics coming into it, right? Did you put the right team out? Did you put the right tactics out? But even today, like, how much of that first half can you realistically pin on Thomas Frank?
No, it's attitude. It's attitude from the players.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's all about the players in that first half. It's all about the players again, and that's the problem that we've had for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years, pretty much since Pochettino.
The mentality and stuff, isn't it?
We've obviously bought a lot of new players as well, right? So like, there's only a couple of players left from those times. So are we buying the wrong, like, the characters that we're bringing in? Are they the wrong characters? Like, in terms of, you know, are they not able to, you know, self-motivate themselves despite coming out of the dressing room 2 minutes before?
What's that quote that Mourinho said, that Spurs are too nice? He wants us all to be a bunch of see you next Tuesdays on the pitch. We're not that, are we? And that's been our problem for a very long time. I mean, the last time that we can really say that we had a proper, like, bust up and support on the pitch, we're going back to Battle of the Bridge, 2-2 at Stamford Bridge and all that. That's where the heart and intensity was. You don't see enough of that on the pitch from us anymore. But obviously we went in at 2-0 down. We was all frustrated. I know we was all very miffed off. I mean, I switched the game off at half-time to start off with. I had better things to do with my life, let's put it that way. But we then obviously at half-time got serious boos from the crowd. There was planned walkouts today as well, but we did see an enforced change from Romero, having his illness taking him further than probably we would have liked, and Pape Sarr came on the pitch. So it was an enforced change, but it was at least more positive change. I would have probably liked to have seen Byfield come on at that point and maybe remove Basuma as well.
I was honestly thinking that Romero might have just punched someone and got sub, and, like, you know, Frank had gone, we're not going to put you back out.
I thought he punched Frank.
Obviously, I didn't notice any kind of injury. Obviously, it makes sense now if there's an illness. But I thought maybe he'd just been so pissed off and he'd been so fuming, he's gone and fucking knocked someone, and he's just gone, you know what, you're not going to come out for the second half. I was genuinely thinking that was possible.
Yeah, so we see Frank go out we see Frank go out in one exit to North Mid Hospital, and we get Romero going down to Tottenham High Road Nick in handcuffs. But realistically, thankfully, that is not the case. But we also did see a change. City came out probably the quicker out of the blocks again. They did have a few shots in that early sort of 5 to 6 minutes. But then we get to 53 minutes, and this is where light was seen at the end of the tunnel for us, realistically. So, Phil, I've given the other guys the horrendous goals, so I will give you a happy moment for us, because I know you're not usually as happy all the time. Something to cheer you up a little bit. So Dom Solanke obviously beat off the defender not once but twice with a little coif turn, and then got an arguable balanced maybe deflection off of Mark Gahey to make it 2-1 to Spurs. How did you take it, having Dom doing that?
Well, I mean, number one, Dom brings so much to this team, doesn't it? Like, you could see with that action, with that moment, what we've been missing. You know, his hold-up play, the fact for being such a big guy that he can wriggle through little gaps. You know, he can turn really well. Right? He can hold it up. He can turn, shoot, you know, pass, whatever, dribble. Like, he's a lot better, you know, with his feet, I think, than people give him credit for. And his finishing, well, you know, the second goal will come to that.
No,
but,
you're not having that one. You're not having that
I'm
one.
not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. Look, I mean, he deserved that goal because of what he did in that moment. You know, like, he got himself into the right position in the box. The ball got to him. He took control of the ball, and he fashioned himself, you know, a shooting opportunity, right? And that's why he deserves that goal, and that's why we deserve that goal, and that's what we've been missing. That's what he's deserved again. Yeah, I know on the replays, I didn't see a replay, actually. I saw one replay straight after, and it wasn't a good replay. I know they were kind of checking it for offside or then a foul. If I'm being really honest, I saw like a couple of replays after that, and it does look like Dom, kicks. Was it Gaze? Was it Gay the defender? It kicks his leg or his ankle kind of before hitting the ball, kind of thing, right? Or as part of the movement, he kind of goes through the player. I mean, I could probably understand if that goal had been ruled out. Like if it had been ruled out by VAR, then I could probably understand it, right? Because it does look, it's a bit 50-50 grey area, right? Some people are saying that that's a foul, because he's hit the man first, kind of. But then he has hit a bit of the ball as well, and he's just obviously, he's going for the ball as well. So, I guess VAR have given him the benefit of the doubt on that. And as I said, he got into that position to make the goal happen. So whatever, right? It was a goal. And we deserved it in that moment, and he deserved it. And look, after that, we got the 2-1. Probably none of us can quite believe it, right? Because we were expecting it to go to 3-0, right, rather than 2-1. And then straight after kickoff, we had even more energy and power, right? The lads, realized that there's something to play for here, and they believed that they could get after this City team as well, who admittedly as well, like, I think in the first half they didn't have to get out of second gear, right? Somehow, because we were just bad and we gifted them goals. But in that second half, even, I think we just took the game to them and they couldn't deal with it. And the lads felt that they could get after them, and they did. And straight after the goal, they continued to attack. So I guess we were all suddenly pretty happy and excited, and probably feel a bit sorry for the Spurs fans that did in fact kind of turn the game off at halftime and didn't end up watching either any of it, or at least the beginning of it, But yeah, it was a good.
Of course. And Sai, obviously in this, realistically, Xavi Simons was one of the only bright sparks from that first half, wasn't he? And he continued into this goal. He obviously had a major part to play in the build-up creatively. This is a man who I have championed for all the way through since the summer. I did want Eze, but I did want him and Simons. Realistically, Simons is going to be a hell of a player, isn't he? What's your thoughts on him, mate?
I thought, the first half, he was our only player trying and putting effort in. And for me, I mean, I totally agree with you there, Cal. I think especially the last few games, probably the last 4 or 5 games, he's starting to get to grips a bit more with the Premier League as well, I think. Obviously, in Europe, he always looks head and shoulders above a lot of the other players. But the past couple of games in the Premier League, he just looks like he's getting used to the pace of it. He's getting used. He's becoming stronger, getting used to the the strength of the Premier League game. And I just thought he was. And I mean, if I'd have had to choose a man of the match, I know Solanke scored twice. He got voted man of the match on Sky Sports, but I just thought for the whole 90 minutes, Xavi was, he was immense. He was immense, Cal. And unlike you, I was a little bit unsure when we signed him, and the way he started, given, he's come from the German league, played and also played in France. He didn't look like he was up to it at first, but now he's just, I think he's a lot more settled and he's getting into his stride now. And I think he's going to be a player to reckon with. And still only about, 21, 22, is he?
22 years of age. So he's got, and I mean, we can't forget that this guy has played in the La Masia Academy. He's played in PSG. He's played in Germany, so he's covered 3 massive countries in Europe in this. And I mean, there is some quotes that are coming out from a delusional person based in Frankfurt currently. Xavi is improving game by game. He is imposing himself on games and getting up to the pace of the Premier League. He was simply superb today, 10 out of 10, deserves a goal soon. following, I think he fits much better behind Solanke, and also in the system having another winger 10 nearby him. So that kind of links in with what I'm going to ask our German friend on, Phil, seeing as that was your message, mate, in one of our group chats. How good could this guy be if he, say, had a Maddison and Kulusevski around him as well? Well, I mean, you are on mute, mate. So, I mean, if you do want to comment, you're welcome to. If not, I'll come to someone else.
I did that on purpose, Cal, because you called me German. You know, I'm in Germany, but I'm British. Just to...
No, I know, mate. I was doing it to trigger you, mate. I was doing it to trigger you.
No, look, Xavi he's got such a high ceiling, talent-wise and attitude-wise. You know, like I think some fans got a bit annoyed with him earlier in the season. You know, things weren't going for him. I saw quite a lot of posts around him having a bit of a, you know, diva kind of attitude problem kind of thing. You know, like throwing his toys a bit out the pram. But that's actually a long way away from what he really is. You know, he's tenacious. He works hard. He's a winner. You know, like he's played so many games for the Netherlands, for the national side, you know, already, right, at 22. He's played in so many different leagues already. You know, the upside here, like his ceiling is massive. And, you know, I think I was saying it and a few of you were saying it as well, like even a few months ago, like we just praying that he gets the chance to play in a good Spurs team. I want to see him play in a team that overall works, right, and is effective, you know, in duration. You know, like remember how we used to be under Poch, right, when we got on our runs and we were so well drilled and, you know, the moves were working, you know, like we just looked like we knew what we were doing. And if Xavi slots into a team like that, which is just functioning much better, he's going to get even better and better and better as well. So, you know, for the price we paid for him as well, arguably, which was what, 50 million, 52 million, something like that. I mean, looking at the market at the moment, that is probably, you know, a bit of a bargain as well, really, you know, for what he can be, you know, for us. I mean, he's still getting up to speed. You know, as Sai said, you know, in Europe, he always looks very comfortable because he's got more space on the ball, more time on the ball. You know, against Dortmund last week, against Frankfurt, he ran the games as well, didn't he? Actually, this is.
I'm guessing that I think we've just lost Phil. That is not a good look whatsoever to freeze frame on. So I do apologise for anyone who we are live with. We have 300. Oh, there he is.
Is he using my
Did
Wi-Fi?
I disappear?
Oh God, have you got size dongle? I mean, that could be interpreted in so many different ways. So, I mean, I am sorry for the 370 of you that are watching live. So Phil is playing with size dongle. That's how we're going to sum this up. But no, Phil, that was a very good take, mate. And obviously, you have been very lucky to watch Simmons live in Germany a couple of times as well, haven't you? I believe so. You know what is still to come.
I saw him in the Bundesliga live a couple of times, you know, even last season or season before. And he always, to be honest, you know, Leipzig have got a lot of really good players, obviously, in their squad, and they always have done. But Xavi was always the one, I would say, who kind of stood out in terms of being he looked like he had more time on the ball. You know, when you have those top quality players where, you know, whenever they get the ball into feet, you know, it just looks easy for them, kind of, you know, they almost create time and space. And Xavi is that kind of player. And, you know, we're lucky that we have him, I would say. Like, he was a very good signing, and we should probably give whoever was responsible for getting him in and kind of sealing that deal a bit of respect, you know, a bit of praise as well for doing it, because we managed it. And yeah, I'm excited to see probably more like next season, you know, where Xavi kind of gets up to speed the rest of this season, you know, just gets play and hopefully scores a couple of goals. And then next season, whoever our manager is, whatever our setup is, for him to kind of take that next step on top, you know. So yeah, very, very happy with him. Very.
No, I like that take. And yeah, you're definitely right. I mean, it was Daniel Levy and Johan Langer who led on this one. So we do have to give them credit where it's due. So, Joseph, we had a nice spell in between the two goals, but then a moment of magic. And I think this is our highlight from the game, wasn't it? Conor Gallagher, who we have all questioned at different points of whether it was a good signing, whether it wasn't a good signing, what role will he play, turned from skying a ball over the box when played in by Udogie earlier in the half to going down the right-hand flank, a lovely chipped cross into the box, and Solanke scoring probably one of his best goals that he has probably scored in his senior career, with a scorpion kick off, I believe, the back of his left boot, wasn't it? A raised leg. So
yeah.
What was your thoughts on that one, mate?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. It was such, you know, we were in the ascendancy. And again, I think all of us were just screaming, where was this in the first half? Because we were dominant. City looked rattled. They didn't know what to do. And let's be honest, you know, that City back line is not in a great spot right now. You know, obviously I know Guehi's come in and kind of given them something, but the rest of that team, you know, the rest of that back line, you can easily get at. And we weren't doing it. And then we saw, you know, a bit more industrious running, a bit more closing down. Everyone seemed to press as a team, which for some reason we don't seem to do in the first half. But in the second half, we were willing to do it. And Conor Gallagher really did well, working hard, winning the ball. It was a good cross. Wasn't obviously the best cross, but it was good. He put it into an area and just hoped somebody could do something. But what Solanke did was more than anyone could expect, really. That was unbelievable. And you know, my dad was sitting there going, I don't think he's meant it. And I'm thinking, you know, I think he's fully meant that. He saw the ball going behind him. He knew the only way he was going to get it was with a scorpion kind of kick. And it was a great finish. And that's what we've needed. I mean, again, obviously he's not going to score that every time, but we've just needed somebody with that kind of composure, with that kind of just something where that's only something that Solanke does in our team. I'm not convinced that anyone else who can play up front can do anything like that. And Solanke, again, the first goal as well, you know, so composed in a situation where we've seen, especially Tottenham players recent, they snap at those situations. They just panic and shoot and try and get a shot off. And Kolo Muani always seems to do it. Whenever he goes one-on-one, he panics. But Solanke, with such composure, with, you know, it's such a difficult situation for him, coming back from an injury into this Tottenham team that is probably in its one of the most negative moments he's been in since he's been at Spurs. And to pull that out was so impressive. And it's what we deserved. From that second half, we were the complete, you know, we were the protagonists for once, and we were the ones that were bringing the game to Manchester City. So really impressed with him. Just another thing on Xavi, because I thought he was unbelievable as well. You know, I agree with Philip and Syed, but I thought, you know, we saw it, we've seen it with Wirtz as well. He started to kind of get his feet, and maybe it is just that culture shock of coming from the Bundesliga, realizing you don't have as much time, it's a lot more physical, and it feels like Xavi's finally starting to understand that now and sped up his game a bit. And there's moments where he's a lot faster on the ball, he's a lot quicker, and he can get around people. And yeah, I thought he was unbelievable. And also, I think we haven't mentioned him yet, but Archie Gray was unbelievable all game. He was so impressive for his age to be able to be doing what he's doing so comfortably in the team. He always seems to give a solid performance out of everybody. Even in the first half, I thought he played really well. Even though the team didn't, I thought he did. And the second half, again, the same thing. He just looks so assured of himself. He knows what he can do, and he does it. And that's what we need sometimes. And to get that from a 20-year-old is amazing. So, you know, he could have a really great and long-term future at Spurs. But yeah, just the second half in general was it was an antithesis of the first, and it was great to see. Again, we just need to understand, why is it only coming in batches? Why is it coming in 45-minute spells and not, why can't it be over 90 minutes?
No, of course. And just a little bit of an update from Fabrizio Romano. Juventus head of football, Giorgio Chiellini, on signing a new striker. We did evaluate Mateta, but then we decided not to go ahead. He's going to AC Milan, I believe. Kolo Muani is a Tottenham player. That's the truth. So that seems to signal any end to Mwani's loan being, i.e. terminated, as we would see or reckon to it. There is still obviously a chance for us to make moves tomorrow. Whether we do or not is going to be another question. But obviously, Si, just to echo what Joseph was saying, obviously Archie Gray, outstanding young player, probably one of the most improved players in our squad this year. But El Scorpio, as we're going to call it, a fluke, a good goal.
Oh, no.
What do you think?
No, Carl, he meant that. Unbelievable. I had the commentators on Sky that we were watching on said it's got to be the best goal he scored in his career so far, and I think it is. Definitely meant it. I don't know what it is with our club. I mean, obviously we won the Europa League last year, but you know, apart from that, we hadn't had a trophy for years. But nearly every season we seem to be in the running for the Pushkas Award. We've had Eric Lamela, Sonny. I mean, this year now we've got Van der Ven, and now we've got Solanke. It was just an exquisite piece of skill, and just in that instant, he had 2 seconds to think what to do, and you can see that's what he meant. His aim was to get something on it, but the technique that he used to do it was just phenomenal. So, and he deserves all the plaudits he gets from that goal, because I think there's definitely a contender there for the Pushkas Award. So.
Of course. There is just one that I am trying to get to upload at the moment. Potentially, I'm hoping that it will work. Let's see. So this is the new Dom Solanke anime that we've got right now for it. We do have El Scorpio. So here is hoping that this becomes his new Instagram or X page as we go. But Dom, if you are seeing this, obviously big up El Scorpio for that. He does sound like a really bad cartel lord right now. But Phil, obviously, we had chances to win that game, didn't we? I think there was a chance by Odebear where it was obviously pushed away. Conor Gallagher had a shot. Simmons was running his heart out as well. And if it had been anyone else apart from Donnarumma, I think realistically we could have won that, to be honest.
Yeah. Look, we deserve to win that game. In the end, I know there'll be some people saying, "Oh well, if we take all the chances in the whole game, in the 2 halves, then of course, Man City had that Haaland chance, the lob, they had that world-class save from Vicario, which was unbelievable, by the way, in the first half, like literally unbelievable. And the same as Donnarumma. I mean, Donnarumma made a couple of saves, didn't he? There was the tip over the bar, wasn't there? And there was the one from Odebear, and then there was that chance where the ball was crossed in, wasn't it? And Odebear just couldn't get his toe or his foot on the ball enough. Like, probably if they play that in, 5 times, he probably scores that, kind of 3 or 4 times. So it was very close, very, very close. But look, we'll take the point, but we were playing for the win. We were playing for the win, and we looked pretty comfortable as well. Man City kind of either ran out of steam or they just didn't really have the incisiveness, to open us up. And the funny thing is, obviously, with Romero going off and that kind of makeshift back 4, I guess, and the 2 centre backs of Dragusin in there. I mean, they looked so solid in that second half. Like as opposed to the first half where. We were scared the whole time. There was loads of gaps. They were worried on the ball. Like in the second half, it was so much more easy for them. So we deserve to win the game. And just like we deserve to win the game, the game against Burnley. To be honest, right? I mean, if we, I know football is a game of, very tight margins and everything else, but we're not. We would be so close to having an extra 4 points. you know, which would have been deserved over the last couple of games, and then suddenly we'd be up, you know, a number of places in the league, you know. So it's a weird season, and I know like the whole Thomas Frank question and where we go from here is a completely different conversation, but it's just a weird season, isn't it? It's a weird position where we are at the moment, also with the Champions League success and all of these injuries and sickness bugs now coming from nowhere. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know what's coming next, and we've got all these big games coming up.
I have heard Lasagna Gate is on the cards. We never know. We may have something coming up, especially with playing Arsenal in the next couple of weeks. But realistically, you're not wrong, mate. And we do need some positivity. But with that result, it does leave us 14th in the table, ahead on goal difference of Crystal Palace with 29 points after 24 games. It is not good. We are not 17th yet, but it is very close. So Brighton on 31, Bournemouth on 33. We are level with Crystal Palace, and Leeds, Nottingham Forest are on 26. And our closest ones after that are West Ham, who are sitting in 18th. Yeah.
No, Cal, as Joseph said before, though, you know, like that second half performance and the result doesn't change, you know, the problems and the issues that we have right in the club. And, you know, it's quite funny because how we came back in that second half completely probably ruined any hope by, you know, change for Spurs, right? In terms of, you know, fans.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, fans leaving the stadium and stuff, you know, and, you know, like there was suddenly obviously that drive to support the team and bring positivity in. And I think, you know, it was important that we saw that fight from the players today again, and it just proves that mentally the players are probably all over the place. You know, I don't know, but it doesn't change anything in terms of what we are as a club. As of today, I assume there's been no communication around it, right? But I assume that Paratici is no longer in the club as of today.
I think he hasn't been. I mean, as much as he's been here, I don't think he has been here for the last 15, 2 weeks. I'll tell you what, you're right though, Philip. On the whole change for Spurs thing, I think they're probably the biggest losers of today.
Yeah.
Because it's a real shame. I mean, I was trying to find out some little bits about the protest before the game. It doesn't really look like there was much of one. From what I'm hearing, it doesn't feel like there was anyone there. No one's mentioned it, so I haven't seen anything on it. You know, they were saying they wanted to chant throughout the game. I heard nothing.
Right.
Heard absolutely nothing. And again, in that first half, there was plenty of chances for there to be chants, but there was none. And that was disappointing. And then obviously the way the game went, I'm not surprised no one wanted to get out of their seats, because obviously we get 2 goals. We're in the ascendancy. We're against Manchester City, big game with 15 minutes left. People thinking we might go on and win it. No one wants to leave, but it is kind of, in a way, it is a bit disappointing in that sense, because it doesn't feel like there's actually, I don't think they're going to be able to get much going, change for Spurs, unless something drastically gets really, really bad. You know, because right now, genuinely, we're in a really bad spot, and they still can't seem to get anything going, which is poor. You know, it's again, I'm not blaming them. But I think it just shows, at least the match-going fans, I think a lot of them are content. I think a lot of them are not content as in like, oh, they're really happy with everything, but they're not pissed off enough to go and...
They've paid their money already, haven't
exactly.
they?
But none of them seem to be there, you know, none of them seem to want to get involved with chants. You know, I thought, again, after that first half, I'm surprised I didn't hear anything, but there was nothing. There was nothing from the Spurs fans.
Joseph. A lot, just quickly, you know, like a lot of season ticket holders that I know that still go, that, you know, don't, you know, haven't either just, you know, stopped going and like giving their ticket away. They openly say they just go there for the crack. They just go there for the, you know, for the fun. They go there to meet their mates, have a few beers. I know they're paying their money in the stadium, so it's going, so it's going to ENIC, and it costs a lot of money. But they just go there on Saturday. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but this is the thing, though. There's never going to be real change, really. You know, that I don't think anyone can see it coming, because right now, if you genuinely think about it, this season, we have been abysmal throughout the league season. I know the Champions League's gone well, but the Premier League has been awful, been really bad. Everyone's had issues with the management. People have had issues with the ownership. People are unhappy with the transfers we're not making. People, there's loads of unrest, but yet we can't seem to get anybody to come to a protest outside the ground before the game. Like, it's just that it's a bit worrying in that sense. And again, I applaud Change for Tottenham for trying to do something, but to me, it's kind of making me feel like nothing's gonna happen from what they do.
And what we will find out this week, obviously, as well, there is a meeting between Vinay and the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, which there are a set of questions which will be asked. And they have direct contact with the club compared to Change for Spurs, who are...
Although Billy T did say on the podcast, didn't he? He did say they were going to be having a conversation with the club as well at some point.
Yeah.
It's not been confirmed when, though. That's the thing. So, I mean, the closest thing we've got is obviously a deadline day tomorrow where there are active conversations. And, I mean, I am still delusional. I still think we will probably see one tomorrow. I don't know who. I don't know where.
Even one's not good enough, though, Callum, is it? It's not. It's not. It doesn't make it a good window.
No. I know. I mean, if we had an Adam Walton or a Diamandi walk in tomorrow, maybe I'd be happy. But I know where we're going to end up. It's probably going to be a sensible signing.
It'll be a loan, I imagine. Yeah. I can't see us spending much money. I mean, I like the idea. I know we've been linked with John Duran. I really like the idea of getting him. I think
that could be a loan with an option, couldn't it?
I think that would be great, but it doesn't. That doesn't make the window good because of the amount of mess we've been in all month long. Even the amount of injuries we're in, and I think the thing I'd also say with the injuries is that I get we're in an injury crisis, but none of these players are expected to be back soon. There's a lot of players that are going to be out for months still. Like, we've got no idea about Maddison. We've got no idea what's happening with Kulusevski and how quickly he's going to be back playing. Porro's still going to be out for the best part of a month at least. We've got players picking up injuries here, there, and everywhere. Jed Spence is now injured, although it's minor calf injury. Hopefully, that won't be too bad. But you've got Danzo. We've got no idea how long that's going to be. There's so many injuries, and we've got no idea the length they're going to be. Yet we're not bringing in anybody.
Off during the game, didn't he?
Well, he's apparently in his post-match press conference. He said he just rolled his ankle. He should be okay. But then again, we've been told previous times should be okay, and we haven't seen Kulusevski since. So it's just, again, this window has been a mess. And again, right now, although I'm happy with the second half performance, I'm not happy with Tottenham. This is still a mess of a season, and it's not good enough. And there's a lot to be displeased about. But again, if like Change for Spurs can't get anything going with a protest, what is going to change?
The reality is on the transfers and stuff, though, just quickly, is that Vinay came out before that West Ham game in the programme, right, which was around the time that the first protest was going to happen again. It all got loud again. And I know it was probably planned that he was going to, they have to plan these things a bit in advance, don't they, really, realistically? Yeah. But he came out and he obviously said that we're going to invest in the squad, we're going to spend money, we're going to increase the wage level, right? He came out, it was a very, actions always speak louder than words at the end of the day, but that was 3 weeks ago, right? That was 3 weeks ago. We got Conor Gallagher and we sold Brennan Johnson. We have a net spend of £15 million this window. And some people will say, well, other big clubs in the league haven't really done too much in the window as a whole, apart from Man City, who have obviously...
They're not in the position we are.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joseph, yeah.
They're not in the position that we're in, and they don't have the injuries that we have. It's one thing being 14th, 15th, 16th, but we're on the bare bones, and we've got youth, but we need a couple of loans at least, or one signing. We should have got an extra 3 players, I think.
Yeah.
Even if they're loans with options, or maybe one with a buy, with a, what's the word?
Obligation or buy.
Obligation, exactly, to buy it. But we had to make it happen somehow. We've been told we've got the money. The money must be there in some shape or form. People will also say, oh, ENIC just want to save money. They don't want to spend money and all this kind of stuff, right? But the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, but it just smacks of incompetence. That's the thing, right?
The way I look at it, wait, one second, sorry, if I could say something.
Yeah.
Because So I understand that, okay, you're going to do most of your business in the summer. I completely understand that. And yeah, you've got more there's more options with deals in the summer. But this January window, there is players available. You've got the World Cup coming up. You've got players who aren't getting minutes for their teams that want moves and want to be able to ensure their place in a World Cup squad. You've got teams that are struggling financially that do need to sell players. There is no reason why Spurs couldn't sign somebody. And we saw it. We tried to get Semenyo. We were willing to pay 65 million for Semenyo, as well as his massive wages, whatever we were going to pay him. So the money's there. And again, I know there's this whole thing of we need to sign the right player. 100% we need to sign the right player. I get that. But you're telling me that there's nobody else available right now that wouldn't improve us. Like you just said, Philip, Lookman, he would have improved us. Aki Alouche would improve us. Marmouche would improve us. John Duran, I think, would improve us. He gives us depth at least, even if you don't expect him to come in and just do amazingly. We need that. We're on the floor. We're not asking for an absolute world beater to come in and completely change our season, but we need numbers, and we can't even get that. It's shocking that we haven't done anything. And part of me is thinking we might do one, but again, I'm surprised we haven't heard about that one player by now. It's nearly the end of Sunday the 1st. We haven't heard anything about a player coming in. There's been no real rumblings of any of these aggregate accounts, any of these people saying anything about a player other than this Duran one, which again still feels like a rough one. I don't know if we will get that kind of thing done. So it's like, are we going to get one in? I don't know.
The deadline is it 7
p.m.
o'clock?
Yeah, 7 p.m. tomorrow. So less than 24 hours.
How are they going to get bids accepted and because players have got to do medicals right before the deadline, haven't they? So they got to fly them in if they're in Europe, like probably by lunchtime or something tomorrow, right? Realistically, or after lunch. Literally.
Yeah, the most you'll get is a deal sheet if you submit it in time. So the deadline's 7. I think you'll have to have it done by probably 9 or 11 tomorrow night to do it. So it is definitely one to be questioned. But I mean, realistically, we've taken a point. It's more than we would have hoped for at half time. I think for that, we're at least a little bit more happy. We'll see how we get on tomorrow. And then probably go again. Knowing our luck, we will have another podcast this week, I believe, because we do have Man United next Saturday, a lovely 12:30 kickoff on Saturday for it. But unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about, I think we will call it a day. And if there is, go for it, Phil.
I just got one thing which came to my mind about like how we play and Thomas Frank and tactics or mentality, like I know we said like that kind of non-performance in the first half just smacks of like, for me, like a complete lack of player motivation or fight or whatever it is right in that moment. But like in some of these games, like we often look better when these games turn a bit like chaotic. Like messy, like it's a bit like how Iraola, likes to play sometimes at Bournemouth, where they don't give the ball away, right, per se, but they attack the ball in certain areas of the pitch. They kind of play a bit all out attacking, but measured in some respects. And like how we played against Villa, was it Villa in the second half where a lot of people were saying, I wonder whether the players just went out there and said, kind of like F off, Frank. We're going to kind of go and do our own thing. We're not going to stick to the tactics anymore. We're just going to go out there and have fun and pile forward. That was, again, a bit how it felt to me today, right? Like it was all a bit crazy, like they were just breaking forwards. They were playing it quickly. And again, I just don't know, like, For me, this is just one thing that I can't really understand, like, because I think it is a mixture of tactics, players, mentality, like maybe leadership on the pitch as well. Maybe Frank sometimes just saying, look, my tactics didn't work in the first half, so we're just gonna cut. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is just the one thing for me, like, which I just can't get my head around, really. And I don't know how or if we even need to kind of like really solve that or work it out, because Does anyone really know what the problem
I
is?
think that's down to the manager and the coaches. It's what they're paid the money for, isn't it? At the end of the day, we can all podcast, we can debate, we can be tax codes, we can be transfer experts. I think it's down to Frank. It's what he gets paid the big bucks for, to make a decision on and how to make this happen, isn't it?
Yeah, but does he recognize it though? That's the question. You know, does he understand, or do they, as a coaching team, including his very good coaching team, right? With you know, what's his name? The assistant,
Justin
Cochrane, Heitinga, yeah,
exactly right. They're all these are all good people. They're all highly rated people. Cochrane, you know, he'll go on to be a top manager somewhere else, probably, right? It's a great coach. You know, he's been learning from Tuchel. But again, what are they doing then in the post? What did they analyze after a game like that? It's just, I'm going off track here, but it's just something which I really wonder, like what they discuss after that. You know, like how that impacts them setting up, you know, for the next games, if at all. I don't know. Or maybe it's just like moments of games, you know, where Man City, they also dropped off, didn't they, on periods in the second half, and then we dropped deep. You know, is it just? I don't know.
I think it's a multitude of questions, mate, and I don't think we'll ever answer it on one podcast. But here is a small snippet from Thomas Frank after the game. So, updates on Romero, Van de Ven, and Spence and transfer window. We are active, no doubt about that. If something happens, let's see, Thomas said. I hope QT is a minor, nothing issue. He was ill. I hope Mickey is back from Man United. And I hope Jed is not out for too long. Frank on Romero being taken off at half-time. It's because of illness, so we are assessing him. Hopefully he's fine. He struggled through the Frankfurt game as well, but he pushed through that with a fantastic captain's attitude. He struggled a little bit today, but we hope it's nothing. So hopefully some positive updates to come in the week. We will obviously keep everyone updated on any transfers and different bits that are going on our X platforms as well. But I think we will call it a night there, guys. Gary hasn't popped on, so I'm guessing he's still probably driving back from the game. So we will call it a night. So as always, a big thank you to my panel. So Joseph, as always, thanks for coming on, mate. Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Joseph THFC on X. Again, just kind of put out my own thoughts, and happy to talk about Spurs, as well as I'm a big Juventus fan and also big American sports fan. So yeah, happy to talk about all of that. But yeah, again, thank you for having me. It's obviously been really good, Project Spurs, you know, being on this as a regular with everybody. You know, love talking with Si and Philip and you, Callum. So yeah, really enjoyable. And again, we just got to hope for some better times. You know, Man United next weekend is going to be a tough game. You know, they're looking like they've really kind of sorted out their form, but they don't look unbeatable. You know, that game today against Fulham, they struggled in moments. So we've got to really go and take it to them next weekend. Hopefully, you know, a week's rest, we can maybe not get any more injuries, but we'll wait and see on that.
No, of course. And Si, as always, a pleasure to have you from the Midlands with us, mate. It's been a little bit more happy times compared to some of the podcasts we've had over against like the one in Villa for you. But where can everyone find you, mate?
Yeah, cheers, Cal. Always a pleasure being on with the guys, with you and talking Spurs. I'm sure sooner or later we're going to be regularly, hopefully, talking about regular wins and all have a big smile on our face. Got to think positive, haven't we? So, yeah, find me on X at Brummy Spurs. Same as Joseph, really love talking about Spurs. Also a big movie buff as well, so love talking about movies and that as well. So, yeah, just give me a follow and I look forward to the next show and look forward to tomorrow up to 7 p.m. And just quickly regarding that, I think just because we haven't heard any names. I mean, I remember Rafa van der Vaart coming out of the blue with a couple of hours to go before the end of the transfer market closed a few years back. So who knows? Let's think positive.
Exactly. Hope and keep the faith. And Phil, obviously a pleasure as always, mate. Do you have faith, or are you going out on a downward spiral, mate?
I've got faith actually. I've got a good feeling about Man United away for some reason. We've had occasions over the last kind of X amount of years since Fergie, right, where we've played really well at Old Trafford. And it depends a bit on injuries, I think, as well, what our setup's going to be. We need Solanke to be fit for the weekend as well, right? I think that's probably the biggest thing for us in some respects, is having Dom fit for that, and Xavi as well. But I think we can get a result there again. And I mean, I'd sign on the line for a draw there right now, to be honest, get another point, for that. The other thing that I don't think we mentioned yet is that we're not playing twice a week for the foreseeable future, right? Through February, right? So we're only playing once a week.
No, we are. We got Newcastle midweek next after this game against United. We've got Newcastle midweek, and then we've got Arsenal on the weekend.
Oh, okay. So we've got a double one then. Well, that puts my argument there to rest.
To be fair, Newcastle have got to play midweek this week, then on the weekend, then midweek against Spurs. So we get a tiny bit of a break, I guess. But
have every other Premier League team got play midweek and the weekend as well?
Yeah.
Midweek
next week. I think this week you've got the semi-finals, second legs of the Carabao Cup, and then so you've got City and Newcastle and Arsenal, and then obviously we got the weekend against United. Then we got Newcastle on the Tuesday.
Okay, so Arsenal will be playing in the League Cup as well before. No, they'll be playing. Anyways, next week before our game with Arsenal.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. Well, look, I think I'm feeling all right, like about what we're doing. I think at the moment, bearing in mind we've got so many injuries. If we'd lost that game 4-0 today, then of course we'd all be on a completely different vibe, and the kind of Thomas Frank out thing would be properly, everywhere online again. It probably still is with some fans, anyways. But for me, at least, like I liked what I saw in the second half, and it just proves that we can play good football, and that the players are still behind the coaching team in some shape or form. And I think that the problems go deeper, than everything else. There is issues with tactics. There's issues with, how we want to play football. The players have got a mentality issue. There's a lot of problems. And I think we need to get to the end of the season again, I think that's just it, really. We need to just see what happens in the next few months. Obviously, the Champions League is still something there for us, isn't it? To have a bit of fun with, probably.
Yeah. Get as far as we can in there, get up the table, get some more points, and we'll be happy, and then we'll be back in the transfer window again.
I don't. My last thing is, luckily Chelsea did win, yesterday against the Hammers, because that would have been a really bad result. Obviously, they would have brought us closer. I mean, what is it now? Is it 9 points?
8 or 9, I think it is.
Look, I mean, I can't see us properly being dragged into the relegation battle, because I think that we are going to get enough points.
I mean, West Ham do have Burnley next weekend.
Yeah. Of course, the problem is if we lose one game, they win one game, it just suddenly comes down to 5 or 4.
Yeah.
And then, the nerves build and everything else.
Well, let's hold the nerves for another podcast. I want us all to go out on a high and enjoy ourselves tonight.
There you go, Carl. Just not 9 points away from West Ham, but 10 points away from 6th spot as well. So there you go. And on a positive note.
On that one, we will call it a night. So, obviously, Phil, thanks for that. Where can everyone find you, mate?
Yeah, I'm just on X, really, at Frankfurt Spurs. Just happy to chat about Tottenham, German football, Bundesliga mainly, but pretty much anything. It's a pleasure to be on here again and kind of be regularly on here again, and probably say congratulations as well to everyone involved, right, for the growth of the channel, right, in the short lifetime that it has existed, right? What was it, 4 weeks, 5 weeks?
Yeah,
something
just
like
over a month, I think now, and we're hitting some great figures. So thank you to everyone for that. Me and Gary were very fortunate to meet Wayne Burnett, the under-21s head coach, Friday, which was a great experience. So hopefully we'll be able to do that again next weekend as well. But obviously all the team are trying our hardest to bring you guys a lot of great content, different interviews. I know we're trying to get some legends on as well. Si, I know that's something you're working on in the background. Phil's obviously doing content from when Spurs are in Germany. Joseph is obviously supporting us with constant ranting about ENIC out as we go alongside the Fox for our tactical analysis, and me and Gary for hosting and co-hosting. So we are all a great team. We are all mates. We do enjoy it. We will have pain, but Strasbourg have just missed a penalty against PSG. That looks like that's what I'm going to go and watch now after this. But as always, it has been a pleasure from Project Spurs. If you want to go and find myself and Gary, we are obviously on X as well and at Project Spurs. So as always, thank you very much, and come on you Spurs.